Face ID unlocked a chat that wasn't mine. It happened because I was lazy about my face. I'd set my phone to recognize me from a handful of angles, morning, beard day, hat, but not from the one where I'm only half myself. Jules leaned across the couch while I was in the kitchen, and the soft click of Face ID sounded like a polite cough. When I came back with 2 glasses of water, my phone was awake in her hand, lock dismissed, camera notch smirking as if it had been fooled and didn't mind. "You left the timer on," she said, which is the kind of sentence that means nothing and everything. The screen showed messages, but the chat at the top wasn't mine. It was a preview window that shouldn't have opened, a tiny catch of words in a thread called Studio Key. I didn't reach for it. I reached for the water because my hands know how to be innocent better than my mouth. "Thanks," I said. Face ID is confident until it's not. It trusts cheekbones like dogs trust footsteps. We registered her face months ago for convenience, a euphemism people invent when they're tired of getting up. I liked that her face could open my world. I didn't like that my world was greeting her with a nickname I didn't remember giving anyone. She set the phone down like a bird she hadn't harmed. "I'm meeting Kiera for a late coffee," she said, sliding into her coat. "Don't wait up." Kiera, sure. Kiera that didn't text from Studio Key. The door shut with that soft apartment sound that keeps secrets a little too well. I stood in the quiet and watched my phone pretend to be asleep. I waited. It's not a virtue, it's a superstition. When the text preview pinged again, I turned the screen with 2 fingers like a safe cracker in bad lighting. It wasn't a timer. It was a message from a number saved under an alias that I'd probably created at some point for a courier or a day-rate gaffer and then forgotten. Same time. West door. "I'll bring the key," the chat said. Then, "Wear the blue jacket. The security guy likes a show." There are discoveries that feel like thunder claps, and there are discoveries that feel like someone widening a door you already knew wasn't locked. This was the second kind. The room didn't spin. It made room for a new arrangement of furniture. I opened the chat, because decency sometimes requires disrespect. The thread unraveled like a string she kept tugging and then hiding under the couch. Logistics, little jokes that fit too well. Studio Key was a person, Adrian. The DP on the dock Jules had been cutting, the one with the shoulders people trusted and the competence that makes you forgive 100 other sins. I scrolled without reading some of the words because my eyes knew which ones would salt the ground. "Don't be a detective," Myra would have said if I'd known her then. "Don't gather evidence you won't respect yourself for owning." But I didn't know her yet. So I traced the map and memorized the doorway. The west door of their rented post-production space, the blue jacket, the security guard who apparently liked theater. You can't live in suspense without becoming a bad neighbor to yourself. I put on shoes, grabbed my own blue jacket. Mine wasn't a costume, it was weather, and walked the 20 minutes to the studio. The block was a stretch of warehouses that had learned how to host art. A mural pretended the city was kindly. The alley pretended no one used it. At 10:08, a figure in a blue jacket rounded the corner with the particular rhythm of someone trying to be late and considerate at once. Jules. She looked good, of course she did. Desire has awful taste in timing. Adrian stepped from the west door, and the way he reached for her elbow made my chest do that careful, mechanical ache. They didn't kiss in the alley, which I both resent and respect. They vanished inside with a quiet that made privacy seem like a shared skill. I didn't follow. Hallway scenes are an insult to daylight. Instead, I took my bad timing to the laundromat down the block, because machines doing honest work can steady you while you do dishonest thinking. The hum of washers became a weather I could live in. A woman a few machines over was reading a book with a foolishly hopeful cover. She looked up, saw my face, and did the tilt people do when they're thinking whether or not to say the thing. "Bad text?" she asked, folding a towel with calm violence. "Bad unlock," I said. "My phone loves my girlfriend's face almost as much as I do." She smiled, a tired sun. "I'm Sloan," she said. "I make a living out of telling people the kind version of the truth." "I'm Mark," I said. "Today I'm making a hobby out of not kicking down a door." She nodded like you nod at a person who just admitted to flossing. If you're not going to knock, decide what you'll do instead. Otherwise, you'll loiter around your own life. She went back to her book, then looked up again. "If it helps, I don't know anyone who's ever gotten what they needed from a hallway." It did help unreasonably. When Jules emerged an hour later, hair slightly off, mouth careful, I didn't step from the laundromat like an after-school special. I texted. "Home," she replied, "soon." At our apartment, she kicked off her shoes and leaned against the counter like the counter owed her. "Kiera says hi," she offered, because when a lie is tired, it borrows social proof. "Face ID says studio, key says west door," I said, and I was proud of the sentence until I heard it out loud and wanted to throw half of it away. "If you're going to leave me, don't make me a participant in the paperwork." She closed her eyes, then opened them on purpose. "I'm not leaving you," she said. The truth in it was weirdly audible. "But I have been someone else, or with someone else. I hate that I liked both." "Adrian," I said. She nodded like it was a bill she'd expected. "He listens like he's drafting legislation. You're quiet like a room I respect. I didn't know how to choose, so I pretended choosing could be a future problem." I'd prepared an explosion. Instead, what came out was administrative. "A month," I said. "Pause, you at Maya's, me at Liam. Therapy with chairs that don't flatter. You tell him he doesn't have a key to anything for 30 days. No studios, no back doors. If at the end you want him, you tell me. If you want me, you tell him. We don't sneak. We decide." "Yes," she said immediately, which helped and hurt in equal measures. She stepped closer. "Can I?" she started, then stopped. Her hand hovered like good weather. "Can we touch without lying?" "We can touch without borrowing," I said. We kissed, not to erase, to archive. It was slow and steady and full of respect for morning. Her hand slid under the back of my t-shirt with the shyness of a person who understands the cost. My mouth found the tender place below her ear that knows my name. We stopped at the border we had agreed to respect. There is an eroticism to restraint that nobody sells because it leaves you too intact to need anything immediately after. At Liam's, the couch greeted me like an old mistake that has learned to be furniture. He handed me a beer and a blanket and a face that didn't require a briefing. We watched a game we could not name the stakes of. I slept and woke to a text from an unknown number. "This is Adrian. I won't ask to plead my case. If you want to meet, I'll be at the pier at 2 because public places keep people decent." Decent is an over-promising word, but the pier has gulls who don't care about our plots, and that sets a tone. I went. He was there, of course, because men like him arrive early to prove things. "I'm not here to be forgiven," he said. "I'm here to take the expensive part of the blame and leave you the honest part of the grief." "You're very good at language," I said. "I bet that works on set." "It's worked everywhere but here," he said, not even smiling. "I'm stepping back for the month. I'm switching crews. I told her I want what she wants, but not at a discount." "It's not a sale," I said. "It's an election." He nodded. "I hope you win," which is a weird thing to tell the person I might love's person. "Don't call it love yet," I said. "It confuses the accountants." We shook hands because ritual helps. Then I walked home under a sky that had the decency to be indifferent. Therapy had the exact ugly chairs I'd imagined. The therapist asked questions with a gentle brutality I ended up needing. Jules and I sat on opposite sides like a flag had been planted in the middle of the carpet, and we were practicing diplomacy. "I wanted to be chosen without asking," she said. "I wanted to be good without doing the work," I said. We drank water that tasted like paperwork and left appointments feeling like people who might make fewer mistakes loudly. In the middle of the month, I found a note on my shared calendar from an email I didn't recognize. "Bench in the small park near the bakery," it said. I almost ignored it. Then I thought about Sloan, the laundromat prophet, and decided to lean toward whatever light was on. It was Sloan at the bench. It was Myra from earlier, the card with the number, the seam finder. She had a thermos and a calm like a legal asset. "I brought tea," she said, "because coffee is for interruptions and tea is for decisions." We sat, we drank. We did not rehearse. She told me about the husband who'd apologized too late and remained human anyway. I told her about Face ID falling for a cheekbone it had permission to love. She laughed once, low, kind, when I said, "I miss her in very boring ways." Then she got serious. "The boring ways are the spine," she said. "If you get that back, the rest is just choreography." We kissed once because there is a threshold between witness and friend, and for a second we wanted to test its hinges. It was slow and considerate, the kind that belongs in daylight. My hand learned where her shoulder likes to be held. Her mouth learned how to leave room. We stopped with a kind of joint pride I hadn't anticipated wanting. "You're decent," she said, not as praise, as diagnosis. "Be careful. Decent people can confuse endurance for love." Jules and I saw each other on Sundays in clear places. We asked each other the same three questions every time. When did you want to be bad? When were you good anyway? What would you need so that wanting to be bad becomes less interesting? The answers were not spiritual. They were groceries and texts, and the relief of saying I thought of him today and then choosing not to. Face ID learned my face better without hers around, which made me lonelier than I can responsibly admit. My phone got worse at being fooled. I grew better at not wanting to be fooled. Progress is petty that way. At the end of 30 days, Jules came back to the apartment with a bag and a face that had nothing to prove. We did not set a table. We stood in the kitchen under the light that flatters no one and built a sentence that could hold us. "Rebuild," she said, "if you want me, if I haven't burned the scaffolding." "Rebuild," I said, "slow, Tuesdays first. Then Thursdays, we date each other in the house we already own. No grand returns, no speeches with music." We set rules, small and rude and merciful. We would report temptation like weather. We would ban rooms without windows. We would not make the bed into a courtroom. We would keep the door locked and the windows open. We would steal back the part of us that liked each other at the grocery store. That night we kissed like a handshake and a homecoming. Hands under shirts where the skin is warm and ordinary. Breath shared like newly negotiated air rights. We stopped where we planned to stop because long-term desire is a sport that rewards patience. She laughed into my mouth and said, "I like us when we're careful," and I said, "Careful is how we get to keep fun." Adrian emailed a sentence I appreciated more than I expected. No cameo. He moved to a different production, and the studio key turned out to be a key to a room we no longer rent. Sloan texted a single thumbs-up emoji from a laundromat at an ungodly hour that meant I see you working. Myra sent a photo of a bench at noon and wrote, "Choose boring and earn heat." I sent a heart and bought a kettle that sings because tea has become part of this architecture. Face ID still loves us both, and now it's on purpose. On Saturdays, Jules unlocks my phone to add us to the calendar at random hours. Little blue blocks that say nothing at all and everything. I unlock hers to play music in the kitchen, and we dance badly on purpose. The kind of bad that belongs to people who know where the knives are and are not using them. If you need scandal, I failed you. If you need a moral, it's embarrassing and true. Let the machine open the phone. Don't let it write the story. Guard the dull rituals like treasure. Put your mouth where your promises are. Stop before you're proud of stopping. Kiss like the morning might judge you, and then teach the morning better manners. Last night we lay on the couch reading separate books, and the plant we finally named kept turned its leaves toward the last dumb sliver of sun. Jules slid her palm under my shirt with the lazy entitlement of a person who intends to earn it forever. "Hey," she said into my shoulder. "Hey," I said, because sometimes the present tense is all the plot you need.